Today, Bitcoin roars to another record to end the week. And Duncan Moir of 21 Shares details where the crypto market could be headed next. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Tanea McKeel. Digital currencies are on the rise again as we head into the weekend. Bitcoin marking another new all-time high above $118,000 as institutional adoption and a wave of short liquidations keep pushing it higher. At noon Eastern, it traded just under $117,000. Ether also climbed this morning, trading at $29.51 after briefly crossing over $3,000 for the first time since February. Solana rose to $162. Looking at the week, Bitcoin up 9% while Ether soared 19%. Compare that to the S&P 500, which retreated from its record high set this week as President Trump threatened new tariff measures. And let's keep talking about markets for our main story. I spoke with Duncan Moir, president of crypto ETF issuer 21 Shares, about the price action and where we can go in the second half of the year. Duncan, thank you so much for joining me on Crypto World today. A really exciting week with Bitcoin just flying through record after record. What do you make of the action that we've seen this week?
Oh, incredibly exciting, and thank you for having me, Tanea. So, big moves in the market. It seems like the crypto world has sort of shook off the latest round of tariff talk, which is a good thing, I think, and also the expectations that we probably won't see a rate cut anytime soon. But it definitely feels like a bull market, all-time highs for Bitcoin, and really driving the rest of the market up as well.
Yeah, including ETH, which has, of course, come back to life over the last couple of months, but really rallying here in a big way. We didn't really see it join the last time Bitcoin jumped up, and then the rest of the altcoins as well. What do you make of this, and to what extent does the success of the Circle IPO and the sudden interest in stablecoins and tokenization, what kind of impact is that having on ETH?
Yeah, lots going on. I mean, it's nice to see ETH and the rest of the altcoins back. It definitely feels like we're getting into the so-called altcoin season. I mean, Bitcoin definitely improves the overall sentiment as well. But as you mentioned, there's a lot going on with the altcoins and the underlying technology. Yes, we have the Circle IPO. We have Robinhood really focusing in on tokenization and using chains that ultimately make use of Ethereum. So nice to see it back. It's had a tough old time more recently, so it's good to be back in altcoin season.
July is historically a pretty strong month for Bitcoin. Q4, of course, is when we typically see all those gains. You usually get into the summer doldrums after July, but what is your outlook from here for crypto overall? A lot of really positive things all kind of working together. So as usual, when we have these conversations, long-term outlook looking very, very positive, but is there anything that you see that could slow this down or suppress the price again in a couple of weeks here?
Look, I think if we're looking for sort of a risk to this bull run, I would definitely say that more tariffs and like with certainty would result in that, because you're probably going to have upward pressure on inflation, and there are still some people that are waiting on the rate cut. So that's probably the risk. That being said, I think a lot of this rally has to do with the long-term strong market dynamics for Bitcoin and other assets. Let's not forget that Bitcoin is a finite asset, 95% of supply already released, and so any net buying is going to put upward pressure on the asset.
We're almost 15 months out from the last halving. Can you talk a little bit about the mechanics of that supply halving, how we're seeing that come up in price now, how much of the current price action you attribute to that factor? Just give us some perspective on 15 months since the halving.
Yeah, you bet. I mean, we do typically see this kind of, you have a bit of a lull and then a nice rally following that after the halving. One of the big things that I would say we've seen more recently is the corporate buying. So we have obviously the strategy and the other kind of treasury type companies, but just in general, more corporates adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet. Corporates this year have taken up more than the supply of Bitcoin. So I think today they hold about 2% of the total supply. So massive buyer in the market that is putting that pressure on the price.
A really institution-driven rally with $1 billion in Bitcoin ETF inflows yesterday, and like you mentioned, the corporate buying in Q2 outpacing the Bitcoin ETF inflows. Where is the retail investor in all of this? What does their appetite look like? You mentioned the corporate, buying spree. Do you see the retail investor looking there for returns? Until just a couple of days ago, Bitcoin had been pretty stagnant for a couple of months. So what is the opportunity for the retail investor, and how much impact does retail have on the market today?
Yeah, I think long-term retail will have a big impact on the market, and they are still coming in, right? We have seen good flows into ETFs, as you mentioned. They will be buyers of ETFs. We're seeing now nice flows into ETH ETFs as well more recently, which is definitely positive. And I think retail investors are still sort of getting to grips with the asset class. They were the early adopters, and now as the masses in the retail space are coming on, they're going to do it maybe a little bit more slowly than some of the institutions coming in at size. But we see retail as a key target for us in terms of customer base, and continue to see growth there.
All right. I have to ask on a day like this, I know we said long-term looking very positive, but we are in uncharted territory. We've never been as high as 118,000 before. How high do you see this going this year?
Ooh, tough one. This year, we're looking for a few more legs up from here, anywhere north of 150. But what I would say, very, very short term, what we're looking out for is a price target of 120, really starting to cause a short squeeze. There are still a decent amount of short interest on Bitcoin. And as it hits that 120 mark, I think we're going to see that squeezed out. Would not be surprised if we saw a quick jump up after that.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World this week. We're back again on Monday, and we'll see you then.